Space is an infinite symphony of light and darkness, where each star is a note, and each galaxy is a chapter in a great story we are only beginning to read. Sparkles Rocket. The perils of gamma-ray bursts. The universe is a vast and violent place, a cosmic arena where stars are born and die in cataclysmic explosions, where entire galaxies collide, and where the fabric of space-time itself can be twisted and torn. Among the most powerful and enigmatic phenomena in the cosmos, there exists an event so violent, so unfathomably energetic, that it outshines entire galaxies in a matter of seconds. A gamma-ray burst. Invisible to the human eye, yet capable of reshaping entire planetary systems in an instant, gamma-ray bursts are the most luminous and devastating explosions known to science. They are cosmic death beams, unleashed from the hearts of collapsing stars or the cataclysmic merger of neutron stars. For a brief moment, these bursts release more energy than our sun will emit in its entire 10 billion-year lifetime. Their origin is as terrifying as their consequences. A massive star, having burned through its nuclear fuel, reaches the end of its existence. Its core collapses, crushed under the relentless force of gravity, triggering the birth of a black hole. But before the darkness fully consumes it, a final violent act is set in motion. Twin jets of highly energized plasma burst forth at nearly the speed of light, carrying with them a storm of high-energy gamma radiation. Or perhaps, the event unfolds in a different, but equally cataclysmic way. Two neutron stars, ultra-dense remnants of once massive suns, spiral inward over millennia, locked in a deadly gravitational dance. The moment of impact unleashes an unimaginable wave of destruction, sending torrents of gamma radiation screaming across the cosmos. For a fleeting instant, a gamma-ray burst becomes the brightest beacon in the universe, drowning out entire galaxies, eclipsing the combined light of billions of stars. And then, just as quickly as it came, it fades, leaving only devastation in its wake. If such an event were to occur close enough to Earth, it would be nothing short of an extinction-level catastrophe. A sufficiently intense gamma-ray burst aimed directly at our planet would strip away the ozone layer in seconds, exposing the surface to lethal levels of ultraviolet radiation. The delicate balance of Earth's biosphere, forged over billions of years, could be shattered in an instant. But the devastation wouldn't end there. The unleashed radiation would ignite a chain reaction in our atmosphere, generating vast amounts of nitrogen dioxide, cloaking the sky in a toxic haze. Sunlight would struggle to penetrate the darkened veil, plunging the planet into a prolonged winter. Photosynthesis would slow, ecosystems would collapse, and the very foundations of life would be shaken to their core. Some scientists speculate that such an event may have already shaped the history of life on Earth. The Ordovician-Silurian extinction, which occurred over 400 million years ago, wiped out nearly 85% of marine species. One prevailing hypothesis suggests that a gamma-ray burst could have been the trigger, a silent killer from the depths of space, arriving without warning, leaving no trace but destruction. Unlike supernovae, which have predictable life cycles, gamma-ray bursts give no warning, no sign of their impending arrival. They are invisible assassins lurking in the cosmic abyss, their reach spanning thousands, even millions of light-years. And yet, we remain powerless against them.
No technology, no shield, no barrier can protect us from an event so vast, so primal, so far beyond the limits of human engineering.
Perhaps somewhere in the galaxy, on an Earth-like world orbiting a distant sun, an advanced civilization once looked up at the night sky, gazing at their constellations, dreaming of their place in the universe, only to be erased in an instant, their planet bathed in fire and radiation, their history wiped clean as if it had never been. Even now, as we observe the universe with telescopes that peer deeper into space and time than ever before, we see the scars left behind by gamma-ray bursts. The afterglows of ancient destruction. The remnants of worlds that once were. The echoes of events so violent, so absolute, that they transcend our understanding. And yet, in the face of this cosmic fury, we continue to explore, to question, to search for answers. We chart the paths of dying stars, measure the gravitational waltz of neutron stars on the verge of collision, and seek to understand the forces that govern our universe. Because the cosmos is not just a place of destruction, but of creation. The very elements that make up our bodies, our planet, and the stars themselves were forged in the heart of violent celestial cataclysms. We are, in the most profound sense, the children of these cataclysmic forces. And as we reach for the stars, we do so with the understanding that the same universe that gave us life could, in a single blinding flash, take it all away. But perhaps the most unsettling truth about gamma-ray bursts is their unpredictability. Unlike supernovae, which can often be forecasted by observing a star's final stages of life, gamma-ray bursts arrive without warning. There is no gradual dimming, no trembling precursor, no telltale signs to mark their coming. They emerge from the abyss of space with no more forewarning than a lightning strike in a clear sky. A burst detected today may have originated billions of years ago, from an era before our sun was even born. The light of its destruction, traveling at the speed of the universe's fastest messenger, reaches us long after the event itself has already taken place. In a way, we are gazing into the past, watching ghostly echoes of apocalyptic events that reshaped distant corners of the cosmos eons ago. Yet despite their terrifying nature, gamma-ray bursts are also cosmic artisans. They do not merely destroy, they sculpt. The energy they release can trigger waves of star formation in neighboring regions of space. The elements they cast forth, carbon, oxygen, iron, spread outward like seeds carried on solar winds, enriching interstellar clouds that may one day coalesce into new worlds. They are both the executioners and the architects of existence, weaving cycles of destruction and rebirth across the universe. For Earth, the likelihood of experiencing a gamma-ray burst firsthand is low, but it is not zero. Scientists estimate that a sufficiently close and well-aimed burst may occur within a few thousand light-years every several hundred million years. This is a cosmic blink of an eye, an interval so short that, on the grand scale of the universe, it is not a question of if, but when. Some researchers have turned their attention to particular stars that could pose a risk. WR-104, a massive binary system some 8,000 light-years away, has been observed as a potential candidate. It is a ticking time bomb, a Wolf-Rayet star in its final stages of life. And if it were to collapse in the right conditions, forming a black hole and unleashing a jet of gamma radiation, it could, in theory, be directed straight at us. If that were to happen, there would be no sirens, no alerts, only the silent arrival of death itself, faster than thought, swifter than fear. But in all likelihood, WR-104 will not be our undoing. Its axis may not be perfectly aligned, its blast may disperse before reaching us, and the sheer vastness of space ensures that direct hits are rare. Still, the universe is filled with stars just like it, scattered across the spiral arms of the Milky Way, each one a potential harbinger of extinction. So we continue to watch the skies, our instruments scanning for distant flares of gamma light, mapping the regions of the cosmos where these deadly events take place. The more we learn, the more we understand about the workings of these cataclysms, and the more we begin to see them not just as cosmic destroyers, but as fundamental pieces of the universe's grand design. Perhaps one day, far in the future, humanity, or whatever form our descendants may take, will possess the knowledge and technology to shield themselves from such events, to manipulate the very forces of the cosmos, to bend the laws of physics to their will. Perhaps they will travel among the stars, no longer bound by the frailties of biology, their fate no longer at the mercy of celestial firestorms. But for now, we are at the mercy of the universe. And as we sit on this small, fragile world, surrounded by the darkness of the cosmos, we remain, for all our advancements, powerless against the forces that govern the stars. Gamma-ray bursts are a reminder that we are but temporary passengers on a journey through an ancient and violent expanse. A reminder that, at any moment, the universe could reclaim what it has given. Yet, for all their terrifying power, gamma-ray bursts are also beacons of knowledge, illuminating the deepest mysteries of the cosmos. When we detect their signals, we are not merely witnessing destruction, we are peering into the very mechanisms that shape the universe. These bursts carry information from the most distant corners of existence, from the primordial universe, from epochs so ancient that the light of their devastation has spent billions of years traveling through the void to reach us. Some of these gamma-ray bursts come from a time when the first galaxies were forming, when the cosmos was still young and turbulent, when matter was just beginning to coalesce into the luminous structures that now paint the fabric of space. When we detect these flashes, we are not merely observing a cosmic disaster, we are glimpsing history itself, encoded in radiation that has traveled across the entire age of the universe. Each burst is a message from the past, a flickering testament to the chaos and grandeur of the early cosmos. The light from these explosions tells us about the first generations of stars, colossal giants that lived fast and died young, whose death seeded the interstellar medium with the building blocks of planets, oceans, and life itself. Without them, there would be no carbon, no oxygen, no iron, no earth, no humanity. And yet, even as we marvel at their significance, we must acknowledge their cold indifference. Gamma-ray bursts are neither good nor evil. They do not seek destruction, nor do they create by intent. They simply are. They are a fundamental force of the universe, like gravity, like time, like entropy. They are woven into the structure of reality itself, indifferent to the fragile life forms that happen to exist within their reach. But the human mind is not indifferent. We are creatures of curiosity, driven by an insatiable need to understand, to uncover the forces that shape our reality. And so we listen. We scan the skies with orbiting observatories like the Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope, capturing the fleeting echoes of these titanic events. We analyze their spectra, their afterglows, their energy signatures, unraveling the physics of their formation. With each new discovery, we draw closer to understanding the mechanisms of the universe, closer to deciphering the code that dictates the birth and death of stars. Perhaps one day, we will reach a level of understanding that allows us to anticipate these events with precision. To predict which stars will collapse, to measure which neutron star mergers are destined to send torrents of radiation streaming across space. Perhaps we will find ways to shield our world, to bend the laws of physics to our advantage, to wield the very forces that once threatened our existence. But until that day comes, we remain small. A species perched on a cosmic island, gazing outward into a universe both beautiful and merciless. We write our stories in the light of our sun, unaware of how fragile they truly are. We build civilizations, we conquer distances, we dream of eternity. And yet, somewhere in the darkness, beyond the veil of stars, the engines of destruction turn in silence, waiting for the moment when they will awaken once more. The universe is ancient. It has endured catastrophes beyond our comprehension. It has watched the rise and fall of worlds, of stars, of galaxies. It will continue long after we are gone. But as long as we exist, as long as we have eyes to see, minds to question, and hearts to wonder, we will seek to understand it. Because that is what it means to be human. To stand beneath the endless sky, knowing its dangers, yet reaching for it anyway. And so we continue our search, not out of fear, but out of a relentless drive to understand the universe that birthed us. Gamma-ray bursts are not merely threats, they are cosmic lighthouses, revealing the structure of space-time, the fate of stars, the origins of the elements that course through our veins. To ignore them would be to turn away from the very forces that made us who we are. With each new detection, we refine our theories. We learn how these monstrous explosions shape galaxies, how their shockwaves trigger bursts of star formation, how their remnants, neutron stars and black holes, become the engines of cosmic evolution. We discover that some bursts leave behind magnetars, neutron stars with magnetic fields a quadrillion times stronger than Earth's, while others forge the heaviest elements in existence, spewing gold, platinum, and uranium into the void. These cataclysms are not just acts of destruction, they are the universe's way of recycling matter, of reshaping itself, of ensuring that nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed. And perhaps in that knowledge, we find a strange kind of solace. Yet, there remains an unsettling question. If gamma-ray bursts have the power to sterilize entire planets, if they can reset the evolutionary clock on worlds teeming with life, then how many civilizations, if any, have been erased before they had the chance to look up at their own night sky? How many sentient beings have been silenced, their histories unwritten, their potential forever lost in the fire of an unseen cosmic flare? It is possible, perhaps even likely, that some of the great filters of life in the universe are not wars, nor self-destruction, nor environmental collapse, but the silent and indifferent hand of astrophysical catastrophe. That scattered across the galaxy, there have been worlds not so different from our own, whose inhabitants stared at the stars, dreamed of distant horizons, and vanished before they could take their first steps beyond their home. If that is true, then our search for extraterrestrial intelligence is not merely a quest for contact. It is a race against time. A race to understand the threats that loom over us, to master the cosmic forces that dictate our fate, before we too become a brief and unrecorded whisper in the vastness of space. But humanity is nothing if not resilient. We have learned to harness fire, to wield the atom, to reach beyond our atmosphere. We have sent probes beyond our solar system, created machines that think, unraveled the quantum threads of reality itself. If we have come this far, who is to say how much further we can go? Perhaps one day, we will stand not as fragile beings at the mercy of the cosmos, but as its stewards. Perhaps we will learn not just to survive, but to thrive, to navigate the dangers of the universe with knowledge instead of fear. Perhaps in time, we will become the watchers, the ones who protect the fragile sparks of life wherever they emerge. But until then, we remain here, on a small blue world, adrift in an ocean of stars. watching, waiting, learning. Because to understand the universe is to survive it. And to survive it is to take our place among the stars. And so, beneath the cold and infinite sky, we listen. We listen for the echoes of destruction, for the whispers of dying stars, for the silent screams of galaxies torn apart by forces beyond our comprehension. We listen because in their stories, in their fleeting bursts of light that travel for billions of years to reach us, we find the truth of our own existence. For all our technology, for all our discoveries, we are still fragile, still vulnerable, still subject to the same cosmic forces that have shaped the universe since time began. But unlike the stars, unlike the planets and nebulae that drift in the vast, silent void, we have something more. We have awareness. The universe is indifferent to our fate. It does not care if we rise or fall, if we endure or vanish. But we care. And that is what sets us apart. Not power, not longevity, but the ability to question, to seek, to imagine. We are the universe made conscious, the cosmos awakening to itself, watching, learning, and trying to understand its own nature before the night closes in once more. Perhaps that is why we fear gamma ray bursts. Not just because of their destructive power, but because they remind us of our impermanence. They remind us that life, even intelligent life, is fragile, that civilization is built on a foundation thinner than we would like to believe. We have survived for a fleeting moment on the cosmic scale, and there is no guarantee that we will continue. But if history, both human and cosmic, has taught us anything, it is that survival favors those who adapt, who anticipate, who prepare. We are not powerless. With every new observation, with every model refined, with every mystery unraveled, we take another step toward securing our place in the universe. We map the skies, searching for the stars that may one day pose a threat. We build spacecraft, telescopes, and instruments that push the boundaries of knowledge. We dream of interstellar travel, of expanding beyond this single world, of ensuring that no single disaster, be it gamma ray burst, asteroid impact, or dying sun, will ever erase us completely. Because in the end, the story of humanity is not one of fear. It is one of defiance. We are fragile, but we endure. We are small, but we reach for the infinite. We are mortal, but we dream of eternity. And perhaps that is the greatest force of all. Not the gamma ray bursts, not the supernovae, not the black holes that consume light itself, but the mind, the will, the sheer audacity of life to stand against the cold, indifferent vastness and say, we are here. And we will not go quietly. And so, beneath the weight of eternity, we continue forward. We are creatures bound to a fleeting existence, born from the dust of ancient stars, yet we dare to defy the silence of space. We send our machines into the abyss, reaching across time and distance, listening for the echoes of forces far beyond our control. We map the celestial graveyards where stars have perished, tracing the fingerprints of destruction left behind by gamma ray bursts, those cosmic scythes that have reaped countless worlds before us. But what if we could do more than just observe? What if, instead of merely cataloging these silent assassins, we could one day bend their power to our will? What if we could shield ourselves, harness the energy of the cosmos, and stand not as helpless passengers in the universe, but as navigators of its great and terrible tides? It is a dream far beyond our current reach, a vision that defies the limitations of what we know. But then again, so was fire. So was flight. So was the very idea that we could escape the grip of our own planet and set foot on another world. There was a time when our ancestors cowered before the forces of nature, before the raging storms and the violent quakes that shook the earth beneath them. But we learned. We built walls and towers. We bent the winds to our sails, the rivers to our cities. We mastered the atom, the circuits, the qubits that now process the very fabric of reality. Why should the stars be any different? Perhaps one day, our descendants will look upon gamma ray bursts not as harbingers of extinction, but as tools, cosmic engines capable of unlocking the deepest laws of physics. Perhaps they will wield energy as we wield fire, tapping into the very forces that once threatened their existence. Perhaps they will stand beneath a different sky, in a different time, on worlds not yet named, looking back at this moment, our moment, as the dawn of something greater. But we are not there yet. For now, we are still bound to this fragile world, still gazing at the night sky with wonder and fear. We are still learning, still questioning, still trying to find our place in a universe that offers no certainty, no guarantees. And yet, that is the beauty of it. The universe does not promise us safety. It does not offer us permanence. It does not tell us that we will survive. but it does offer us a chance. A chance to learn. A chance to explore. A chance to leave our mark on the vast and silent fabric of space. And perhaps in the end, that is all we need. Not a guarantee. Not a promise. Just the knowledge that for this brief moment, against impossible odds, we exist. We endure. We reach for the stars, not because they are safe, but because they are there. And in doing so, we defy the darkness. And so, against the eternal silence of the cosmos, we reach forward, driven not by certainty, but by the boundless hunger to understand. Each night, as we look into the sky, we are met with the quiet indifference of the universe. The light of ancient stars, some long dead, travels unfathomable distances to meet our eyes, whispering tales of cataclysms we can barely comprehend. We search for meaning in their flickering glow, for patterns in the chaos, for proof that we are not alone in this vast and violent expanse. And yet, the universe does not answer. It does not reassure us. It does not offer protection. It does not whisper words of comfort. It is neither cruel nor kind, it simply is. The same forces that forge the elements of our bodies can, in an instant, obliterate all that we know. The same cosmic events that shape the galaxies can, with a single burst of radiation, wipe entire civilizations from existence before they ever have a chance to reach the stars. But we do not turn away. Instead, we listen. We learn. We build instruments to see beyond our limitations, to detect the unseen, to capture the afterglows of destruction that happened long before the first humans ever walked the earth. With each burst we record, each distant cataclysm we decipher, we add one more piece to the puzzle of the cosmos. We begin to see the patterns in the chaos. We begin to understand the rules that shape reality itself. And in that understanding, we find something unexpected: possibility. Perhaps gamma-ray bursts are not just destroyers. Perhaps in their fire, in their violence, there exists the potential for creation. Perhaps the very extinction events they have triggered have also paved the way for something new, resetting the evolutionary clock, allowing for life to emerge in forms and places we have yet to imagine. Perhaps even here, on this small, fragile world, we exist because of them. Perhaps millions of years ago, a distant burst altered the trajectory of life on Earth, clearing the way for a future that would eventually lead to us, beings capable of asking these questions, of tracing the echoes of destruction and seeing not just an end, but a beginning. And if that is true, then gamma-ray bursts are not just the silent assassins of the universe. They are also its architects. What other secrets do they hold? What lessons still lie hidden in their afterglows? What knowledge awaits us if we continue to reach, to listen, to push beyond the limits of what we know? For as long as we have existed, we have feared the darkness. But we have also sought to illuminate it, to understand it, to master it. And perhaps one day, far in the future, when we no longer fear what lies beyond our atmosphere, when we have spread beyond the single world and taken our place among the stars, we will look back at these cosmic titans not as threats, but as the very forces that set our journey in motion. And maybe, just maybe, we will finally understand the true nature of the universe, not as a place of destruction, nor of mercy, but as a vast and endless story, waiting to be written. And we will be the ones to write it. And so, the universe watches, vast and indifferent, as we take our first tentative steps into the unknown. We have come far, farther than the first minds who looked up at the night sky and saw only mysteries. We have peeled back the layers of the cosmos, revealing its hidden mechanisms, its cycles of death and rebirth, its silent symphony of forces too immense for any one civilization to tame. We have learned to predict the movements of the stars, to chart the fates of dying suns, to recognize the fingerprints of long-forgotten cataclysms. And yet, there is still so much we do not know. Every gamma-ray burst we observe is both a warning and an invitation to understand, to go deeper, to uncover the fundamental laws that govern existence. If we can unlock the secrets of these cosmic explosions, if we can decipher their origins, their behavior, and their impact on the fabric of space-time itself, then we move one step closer to grasping something far greater, the ultimate fate of the universe. Will the cosmos continue its endless expansion, drifting ever outward into cold and infinite darkness? Or will it one day collapse upon itself, drawn back into the singularity from which it was born? Could gamma-ray bursts, with their unimaginable energy, hold a key to this question? Do they shape the course of galaxies, guiding the great celestial dance in ways we have yet to perceive? For now, these questions remain unanswered, but they will not remain so forever. We are still young, our knowledge still in its infancy. But the universe is patient. It has waited billions of years for consciousness to arise, for beings to look outward and begin to question, to seek to understand. It will wait billions more as we refine our instruments, as we unlock the forces of the cosmos, as we step further from the cradle of our home world and into the great expanse beyond. And one day, when we have harnessed the power of the stars, when we have learned to wield the very energies that once threatened our existence, we will no longer fear gamma ray bursts. We will no longer see them as agents of destruction, as cosmic harbingers of doom. Instead, we will see them as part of the great celestial cycle, as the engines of creation, as the echoes of a universe that is neither cruel nor kind, but simply vast, endless, and full of wonder. And when that day comes, we will no longer be the fragile species that once feared the night. We will be the ones who bring light to the darkness. And so the story of humanity and the cosmos continues, a tale written in light and shadow, in knowledge and mystery, in destruction and creation. We are but a fleeting moment in the grand symphony of the universe, and yet, we persist. We observe, we question, we reach further than those who came before us. We are the witnesses of the stars, the recorders of time, the architects of our own understanding. Each gamma ray burst we detect is more than just an event. It is a message from the distant past, a glimpse into a reality beyond our own, a puzzle piece in the ever-expanding mosaic of cosmic history. And though they remind us of our vulnerability, they also ignite something within us, a determination to endure, to transcend the limits imposed upon us by nature, to carve out our own path in the darkness. Perhaps even now, somewhere across the galaxy, another civilization watches the same violent bursts of energy we do. Perhaps they too wonder about their origins, about their meaning, about what lies beyond the veil of their own knowledge. Are they just beginning their journey, looking up in fear and curiosity, much like we once did? Or have they mastered the forces we are only beginning to comprehend, unlocking the deep physics that shape existence itself? If they are out there, if they have survived, what have they learned? What wisdom could they share? Or did they, like so many potential worlds before them, fall victim to the same silent catastrophes we fear? For now, the answer remains unknown. But we are here. We exist. And as long as we do, we will not stop seeking. We will not stop listening to the echoes of dying stars, to the remnants of cataclysms that shape the universe, to the great cosmic forces that continue to weave the fabric of reality itself. We are the children of the stars, born from the ashes of supernovae, from the very elements scattered by the explosions we now seek to understand. We are, in a profound and literal sense, the universe becoming aware of itself. And maybe, just maybe, that awareness is the first step toward something greater. Toward a future where we are no longer just spectators of the cosmos, but its stewards. Where we no longer fear gamma ray bursts, but harness their energy. Where we no longer dream of distant stars, but stand among them. The universe is not waiting for us. It does not offer us a destiny. But if we are bold enough, if we are relentless enough, if we refuse to be bound by the forces that shaped us, then perhaps one day we will make our own. And when that day comes, we will no longer be the fragile creatures that once feared the dark. We will be the light. And so we continue forward, not as passengers in this cosmic expanse, but as its explorers, its questioners, its dreamers. The universe is vast beyond imagination, ancient beyond comprehension, powerful beyond measure. It has shaped us, just as it has shaped the stars, the galaxies, the great tides of matter and energy that swirl through the infinite void. And yet, unlike the stars that burn and die in silence, we possess something unique, a mind that seeks to understand, a spirit that refuses to accept the unknown as unknowable. Gamma ray bursts are a challenge, a riddle written in the fabric of space-time itself. They stand as reminders that we are small, that we are fragile, that the universe does not exist for our sake. But they are also an invitation, to see, to learn, to uncover the deepest laws that govern existence. Perhaps one day we will look back at this moment, at our fragile, uncertain grasp of the cosmos, and marvel at how little we knew. Perhaps we will stand among the stars, free from the fears that once held us bound to this single world, and we will laugh at the idea that we ever doubted our ability to survive. Perhaps we will become architects of entire civilizations that span the reaches of the galaxy, bending the forces of nature to our will, safeguarding life from the very threats that once threatened to extinguish it. Perhaps we will wield the energy of gamma ray bursts themselves, transforming their raw, violent power into a source of limitless potential. Or perhaps, despite all our efforts, despite all our knowledge, we will one day vanish, erased, like so many before us, by a force we could not predict, could not stop, could not escape. And yet, even if that fate awaits us, it does not make our journey meaningless. Because to exist at all, to witness the beauty and terror of the cosmos, to struggle against the forces that would see us fade into nothingness, that is the triumph of consciousness. That is the defiance of life against the vast, empty indifference of space. And so, as long as we remain, as long as we have eyes to see, as long as we have minds to question, we will keep going. We will map the heavens. We will chase the echoes of dying stars. We will seek to understand the origins of our universe and the fate that awaits it. And perhaps one day, we will step beyond the boundaries of what we now believe to be possible. Perhaps one day, we will prove that even in a universe filled with destruction, life can endure. That even in a universe filled with darkness, light will always find a way. And so, beneath the vast and silent heavens, we persist. We, the fragile observers of the cosmos, the brief flickers of awareness in an ocean of time, press onward, not despite the universe's dangers, but because of them. To turn away, to surrender to the enormity of what we do not know, would be to accept our own insignificance. And that, perhaps, is the one thing we cannot do. For all its cataclysms, all its chaos, the universe has given us something precious, the ability to wonder. To look up at the sky and see not only emptiness, but possibility. To hear the distant echoes of destruction and instead of despair, to ask, why? How? What more is there? Perhaps this is the great paradox of intelligent life. We are born into a universe that can erase us without a trace, yet we refuse to be erased. We are shaped by forces beyond our control, yet we seek to control them. We are surrounded by a cosmos that does not care if we understand it, yet we are compelled to try. And so, we build our telescopes and send our probes. We capture the invisible light of gamma-ray bursts, measuring their energy, charting their origins, unraveling their secrets. We imagine the futures of distant stars, the fates of long-extinct worlds, the silent deaths of civilizations that may never have had the chance to escape their home planets. We know that our own world is not immune. We know that extinction is not a punishment, nor a tragedy in the eyes of the universe. It is simply a part of the endless cycle. The Earth has seen mass extinctions before, and it will see them again. Our solar system drifts through the galaxy, vulnerable to the silent firestorms of deep space. We cannot bargain with the laws of physics. We cannot plead for more time. But we can prepare. We can push the boundaries of what is possible, learning to see further, to predict better, to build stronger. We can reach beyond this world, spreading across the stars so that no single disaster, no gamma-ray burst, no supernova, no planetary catastrophe, can end the story of humanity. Because that is the ultimate truth of our existence. We are not meant to remain still. The same curiosity that drove us to cross oceans, to climb mountains, to send machines to the farthest reaches of our solar system will one day drive us beyond this small blue world. The same drive that compels us to study the deadliest forces in the cosmos will one day allow us to master them. Perhaps millions of years from now, long after Earth has changed beyond recognition, our distant descendants, human or otherwise, will look back at these early moments of discovery. They will see our struggle, our fear, our endless questions, and they will know that it was here, in the shadow of the unknown, that we took our first true steps toward the stars. They will know that, in a universe where nothing is guaranteed, where extinction is more common than survival, we chose to fight for our place among the stars. They will know that we refused to be silent, that we refused to be forgotten, that we reached into the darkness, and we endured. And so, the journey continues. With every new discovery, with every signal traced back to the distant past, we take another step forward, not just in our understanding of the universe, but in our place within it. We are no longer the species that gazed at the night sky with fear and superstition, wondering what gods or monsters might lurk beyond the veil of darkness. We are the species that seeks, that questions, that dares to illuminate the unknown. Our greatest challenge is not just to survive, but to persist, to ensure that our brief moment of existence does not end as a whisper lost in time, erased by forces beyond our control. We know now that gamma-ray bursts are not merely harbingers of destruction. They are the echoes of creation itself, the remnants of stellar deaths that give birth to new worlds, the chaos that forges order in ways we are only beginning to understand. Perhaps in time, we will learn to wield these forces, to predict them with precision, to shape the very fabric of space and time as we once shaped fire and stone. Perhaps one day, we will stand at the precipice of a new age, one where no cosmic catastrophe can erase us, where no burst of radiation can silence the story we have written across the stars. And when that day comes, when we have stepped beyond the confines of the single world and embraced the infinity that surrounds us, we will look back at the journey that brought us here. We will remember the fear, the uncertainty, the fragile existence that once tethered us to this small planet. And we will know that it was never the universe that decided our fate. It was us. It was our relentless hunger for knowledge, our refusal to be bound by the limits of the present, our audacity to defy the forces that would see us undone. And in that moment, we will not just be a species that survived. We will be a species that conquered the dark. And so, the cosmos will bear witness to our ascent. No longer bound by fear, no longer at the mercy of the silent catastrophes that shaped the fates of countless worlds before us, we will rise beyond the limitations of our origin. We will carry the fire of knowledge through the great darkness, not just as wanderers, but as architects of a future yet unwritten. There will come a time when our understanding of gamma-ray bursts, of stellar collapse, of cosmic upheaval, will extend beyond mere observation. We will no longer look upon these forces as distant, untouchable phenomena. We will, instead, bend them to our will, harnessing their energy, navigating their dangers, even using them as beacons to chart the hidden pathways between the stars. Imagine, for a moment, a future where humanity has expanded far beyond Earth, beyond the fragile cradle that bore us. Imagine ships powered by energies drawn from the very heart of collapsed stars, civilizations spread across light years, their knowledge vast enough to rewrite the very fabric of physics itself. No longer will we fear extinction at the hands of cosmic events we cannot control. No longer will we be confined to the fragile balance of a single atmosphere, a single orbit, a single world. Instead, we will become interstellar, intergalactic, beings that do not merely endure the universe, but shape it. And yet, for all our progress, for all our knowledge, we will never forget where we began. We will remember the fragile creatures who first dared to look up at the sky and wonder. The ancient astronomers who traced patterns in the stars, the scientists who built the first instruments to see beyond the limits of the naked eye, the explorers who crossed the void, step by step, generation by generation, until the universe was no longer a thing to be feared, but a thing to be understood. One day, perhaps, we will stand on the surface of a distant world, beneath a sky filled with unfamiliar constellations, and we will know without a doubt that we have triumphed over the very forces that once threatened to erase us. We will know that we have become something greater. Not because the universe allowed us to. Not because fate was kind. But because we chose to rise. Because we chose to reach. Because we chose to defy the darkness, and in doing so became the light. And so, we step beyond the threshold of what once seemed impossible. The universe, in all its vast and unforgiving beauty, does not yield to the weak. It does not pause for those who hesitate. It does not wait for those unwilling to reach beyond what they know. And yet, in the face of its cold indifference, we endure, not because we were granted special favor, but because we refuse to be silent in the void. The very same forces that once threatened to erase us, gamma-ray bursts, collapsing stars, the relentless passage of time, are now the forces we seek to understand, to harness, to use as stepping stones into a new age. What was once a cosmic death sentence may one day become our greatest tool. Perhaps we will learn to harness the raw energy of collapsing stars, transforming their power into fuel for interstellar voyages. Perhaps in the distant future, civilizations will travel the galaxy on currents of energy released by gamma-ray bursts, riding waves of radiation through the fabric of space itself. Perhaps we will not just predict these celestial events, but manipulate them. What once destroyed planets could ignite new worlds. What once wiped life from existence could, with the right knowledge, become a tool to spread life further than ever before. The very things we once feared could become the foundation of our survival. And when that day comes, when we stand at the edge of the known universe, no longer shackled by the limitations of our fragile homeworld, we will look back and realize, we were never meant to stay here. Earth was never the end of our journey, it was only the beginning. A single step in a much greater story.
A story of defiance. A story of endurance.
A story of a species that refused to fade quietly into the night, that refused to accept the limits imposed upon it, that refused to bow before the forces of entropy and oblivion. We will not be the ones who simply observed the universe. We will be the ones who mastered it. And in the cold, silent reaches of space, where the echoes of ancient stars still linger, where gamma-ray bursts flash like cosmic beacons, marking the places where worlds were lost and reborn, there will be something new. Not just destruction. Not just chaos. but the unmistakable signature of intelligence. The quiet hum of machinery built to withstand the storms of space. The glow of cities on worlds that should have remained barren. The unmistakable presence of a species that saw the darkness for what it was. Not an end, but an opportunity. And in that moment, when the universe looks upon us, it will no longer see a species bound to a single planet, fragile and fleeting. It will see something far greater. A civilization that rose from the dust of a small world, that looked into the abyss of time, that stared into the face of cosmic destruction and did not cower, but stepped forward. A civilization that embraced the infinite. A civilization that became eternal. And so, the stars will no longer be distant, untouchable points of light. They will be our way stations, our beacons, our homes. We will no longer be creatures bound to the frail confines of a single world, vulnerable to the whims of the cosmos. We will be wanderers, pioneers, architects of a new era, one where the forces of nature no longer dictate our fate, but bend to our will. For too long, humanity has looked at the night sky with a sense of longing, of separation, as though we are mere spectators to a grand design we cannot change. But that illusion is fading. We are no longer just watchers of the universe, we are its participants. We are no longer at the mercy of celestial fire, we are learning to wield the very forces that once threatened to erase us. The universe will not offer us safety. It will not grant us permanence. If we are to have a future among the stars, it will be because we built it ourselves. And so, we will build. We will push beyond the cradle of Earth, not out of necessity alone, but out of the unstoppable drive to explore, to discover, to claim our place in the infinite expanse. Our technology will evolve, shaped by the very dangers that once kept us bound to our homeworld. The radiation that once threatened to strip away our atmosphere will power our spacecraft. The magnetic fields of distant planets will become our shields. The violent energies of gamma-ray bursts will be understood, tamed, perhaps even used to send our signals across galaxies.
We will step beyond mere survival.
We will master adaptation. For what is intelligence, if not the ability to transcend limits? Perhaps, millions of years from now, we will not be alone in the great void. Perhaps we will have found others who, like us, refuse to accept extinction. Civilizations that have risen, endured, and thrived, despite the chaos that shaped their worlds. Or perhaps we will be the first, the singular example of a species that looked into the abyss of an uncaring universe and dared to carve its own meaning into the stars. One way or another, we will leave a mark. 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 years from now, long after the last traces of human civilization have faded from Earth, our presence will remain. The echoes of our journey will ripple across the cosmos, encoded in the machines we send beyond the stars, in the energy signatures of the worlds we have touched, in the cosmic infrastructure we will one day weave between the distant lights of the galaxy. The universe will know that we were here, that we did not bow to the forces that sought to erase us, that we did not surrender to the inevitability of time, that we stood against the darkness, against entropy, against oblivion itself, and we reached for something greater. For in the end, that is the true nature of life, not to endure passively, but to persist with purpose. Not just to survive, but to create. Not just to exist, but to leave something behind that will outlast even the stars themselves. And when the last gamma-ray burst has flickered out, when the great celestial engines that power the universe have spent their final energy, when the cosmos itself drifts toward its final fate, perhaps, just perhaps, there will still be something left of us. A spark. A remnant. A voice echoing through eternity. Proof that for a time, however brief, intelligence rose from the dust, looked into the infinite abyss, and refused to be forgotten. And so, even as the universe moves toward an uncertain fate, we will remain. Long after Earth has changed, after the continents have shifted and the oceans have dried, after the last remnants of our ancient cities have been reclaimed by time, we will endure, not as ghosts of the past, but as pioneers of the future. Our presence will not be tied to a single fragile world, vulnerable to the whims of the cosmos. By then, Earth will be a memory, a place of origin, not of limitation. Our existence will stretch across star systems, embedded in the machinery of civilizations that no longer fear extinction, but have transcended it. We will have spread our reach, not just through technology, but through the fundamental laws of physics themselves. We will have conquered the challenges that once threatened to erase us, the scarcity of energy, the limits of biology, the constraints of time. Perhaps we will no longer be bound to physical forms as we know them, but will have become something else, something capable of traveling not just across space, but through the very structure of reality itself. Perhaps we will be beings of light, encoded in quantum states, free to move between dimensions, untouched by the forces that once dictated our mortality. Or perhaps we will remain explorers, eternal wanderers, traveling from star to star, building, learning, expanding, evolving, never settling, never stopping, never content with what is known. But one thing is certain, we will not be forgotten. The universe itself will bear witness to our legacy. The cosmic structures we build, the energy we manipulate, the knowledge we leave behind, these things will persist, carrying forward the echoes of a species that refused to surrender to the darkness. And when the last of the stars flicker and fade, when the great cosmic expansion stretches the fabric of reality to its very limits, when the universe grows silent, cold, and empty, perhaps we will still remain. Not because we were given a place in eternity. Not because the universe was kind to us. But because we chose to fight for our existence. Because we refused to be just another lost civilization, erased by the silent, indifferent tides of time. Because we saw the darkness, not as the end, but as the beginning. And in that final endless night, when the last particles of energy drift into the void, when the stars are nothing but memories written in space-time, perhaps the last thing the universe will hear will be the whisper of those who defied oblivion. The last testament of a species that was born in fire, forged in knowledge, and made eternal by its refusal to be forgotten. A message, carried across the ruins of a dying cosmos, saying simply, we were here. And so, the universe will remember. Not as a conscious entity, not as a storyteller, but in the quiet echoes of what we leave behind. We were not meant to last forever, not in the way the mountains or the stars seem to endure. Yet, in our short existence, we reached for something beyond mere survival. We sought meaning in the chaos, structure in the void, and understanding in the vast indifference of the cosmos. We were fragile, yet we built. We were small, yet we dreamed. We were mortal, yet we dared to reach for eternity. Perhaps our time among the stars will be brief. Perhaps one day, another force, some cosmic accident, some final catastrophe, will come for us as it has for countless civilizations before. But if that day ever comes, we will not vanish in silence. For we will have already sent our mark across the stars, our knowledge, our creations, our memories. The light of our existence will have traveled beyond us, written into the very fabric of space-time. And long after our last breath, something of us will remain. Proof that, for a moment, the universe was not empty. That, for a moment, there were minds that sought to understand it. That, for a moment, in the deep, endless night, there were those who refused to be forgotten. And in that moment, however brief, we mattered. We were here.